Hey, what's up guys? Kurt Anderson here again for another tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to be elaborating on the stuff in the last tutorial. In the last one I just explained the workflow and basic stuff. In this one I'm going to explain exactly how the buttons work and how you can use it. First off, we're going to go over editing. Now let's say we have two scenes. First, import your data or your footage. Let's say we have two scenes that we want to put together. Usually you would use an editing software. This is a effects and composing software. But usually you would use an editing software to put it together, but let's just say you have two clips, they just need to go together and you want them to, you're too lazy, go over, spend all that time to do it over there. Okay, first off, you're going to want to find the point where you think your video should start. Like, see, all this is all the shaking where I clicked action, and then I'd yell action right about here. Make sure that it's a good lead off so that there's no standing around. You're going to take it, and then using this, when the arrow points left to right, you can drag it over, and that cuts the clip down. Another way to do this is you can go Control-Shift-D and just delete this footage. That way it'll get exactly on the frame you want. Then take it, drag it back to the front of the comp so there's not just a bunch of black area. Now let's find the ending point next. To make it fluent with this one, which is there running around here, a good ending point would be right when he looks like he's about to turn, right here. So do that again, Control-Shift-D, and then delete the top comp. Now drag this footage over, and then drag it over until you find the point which makes continuity the best. Continuity is where the camera angles are flawless, and when you look at it, it doesn't look like, hey, there's a part missing here, or hey, camera angles are bad. And I'd say right here, right behind the wall. Trim it down. And then now it's fluent. It looks like these two scenes should be right next to each other. The next thing we're going to go over is pre-composing. Pre-composing is used so that you can put two layers together or a bunch of effects together into one comp. This will help clean up your workflow. Let's say, for example, this is our main workflow, and we're going to add a ton of effects to it. We'd add all the effects, then we'd highlight them all over here, and hit Control-Shift-C. Once you're here, you're going to name your comp. So this is, just come up with something. This is Actor 1 running around wall. That'll work. Click OK. And then now when you come back to this comp, it's all in just one comp. There's not a bunch of layers that can confuse you. See how it's just now put together. The next thing we're going to go over is if you want to add effects. Effects can do a wide range of things. They can create explosions, they can add gun flares, they can add artificial lights. Just with effects you can basically do anything you want if you know how to use them. I'm going to go over the effects panel. The 3D channel will help do anything that involves 3D. Your audio will mess with your audio, but I'd rather use like Audition or something to mess with audio, as this is After Effects. It's used for visual effects, not for audio effects. Then we have Blur and Sharpen. Blur and Sharpen does as it says. There's a bunch of different blurs for a bunch of different, slightly different things that you could do with a blur. Like a box blur will take the pixels and make them boxy, which makes a blur. Fast blur will blur it so that it looks like it's going fast through the screen. It helps add realism to some shots. Color correction is used to give it that cinematic view or make two footages look like they were shot in the same place. It's very widely used. Distort will, as it says, distort, like you can add a ripple or a smear to a part or take the pixels and sphere them. Generate will generate the things that it says, like a grid, it'll turn a layer into a grid, or a checkerboard, it'll turn a layer into a checkerboard. Usually used for like titles and stuff, but it can be used for other stuff. Keying is used to key out like a green screen. Noise and grain is used to add noise to the shot, which could add realism, or maybe like if you wanted to imitate a camera and wanted to add some grain to it to make it look like a security camera, that would be something you could use it for. Text is used to basically add numbers or time codes. Like a time code would have a countdown timer. Time is used to affect the time, displace it, make it like go slow and then speed back up, stuff like that. Transition is the transition between two things. Not a lot because it's more of an editing thing. And then that's it. Those are the basic effects that most people would use. The other ones that I did not mention would be more for advanced things, and they're very specific. Next, we're going to go over masking. Masking is used to take one solid layer and create a hole in it so you can see the other solid layer. For example, we're going to add something called a vignette. A vignette is a color correction tool that focuses the view inward, which will focus it on the talent instead of the edges, which is good for visual effects because you don't want people focusing on the little stuff. You're going to go here, new, solid, black. Now, to do masking, you could either do this, which is like a bunch of just little pen tools. It's more for abnormal shapes, but for the effect we're going for, we want to use a shaped mask. So for example, go to the ellipse tool, and if I double click this, it'll add an ellipse to it. Then down here in the masking is your masking controls. If add right now, whatever's in this circle, it'll add. To invert this, put it to subtract. Subtract will subtract whatever in there. Then you open up the effects. Mask path, that's so if you wanted to animate the path over time, you could. The feather will make it blend in more, like so. Your opacity, it'll do as it says. It'll take the how dark it is, and it'll lighten it up. And the expansion is, it'll go inward or outward of the shape. To create the effect we want, I like to first lower the opacity. Then I take the feathering, make it go up. Maybe make the opacity just a little bit more. And then the expansion, pull it off just a little bit backwards. And you see now we have this vignette. It gives it more of a professional look. And it focuses the view to the two actors in the middle here instead of the outside edges, which won't have the main elements in it. Next, shortcuts. Shortcuts are used to basically progress you through the screens and everything very fast. They can speed up editing. If you want to duplicate a layer, you click on it and you click Control D, like that. Now you have two of the exact same layers, and you could do something to the top layer that you don't do to the bottom layer, and it can create effects on the top of each other. For example, I could go to here and make this one add, brightens it up, and let's say a muzzle flash went off, and I wanted to brighten this area up. I could do something like that. Okay, cut. This is the one I've been showing you. You click on an area and you hit Control Shift D, and it'll cut it right there. So you can delete the front end, or you can mess with each end. The next one, save. If you want to save your comp really quickly, just Control S. It'll save it to wherever you saved it first, which I'll go over in a second. And then pre-compose. That's if you want to take just two footages, just make a quick comp out of them. You hit Control Shift C, and it'll create the comp. It'll bring up the comp window. And finally, we're going to go over saving. Saving is very easy. Just go over here, up to File, Save As, then Save As, and then you name your comp. So let's say this is off of it's off my new movie, The Grenade. So I didn't name it The Grenade. Or if it's off of a scene from it, you could name it The Running Scene or something like that. Just something so you remember when you look at it that, oh, those are those two scenes. Oh, those are those two scenes. Then once that's done, you just click Save, and now it's saved. Everything you do will save. I've turned on the autosave, which is a good feature, so it'll save every few minutes. And remember, if you just want to save quickly, you just did a big effect and you want the program to save it, just click Control S. That's basically the basics of After Effects. Now that you know the workflow and how to use most of the functions in After Effects, you can start combining them and start digging deeper to make effects, which I'll start going over next in the next two tutorials. Thanks for listening. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe to my main channel as well, and check out our new video which we just uploaded involving this stuff. It's called The Grenade. It's pretty cool. It's got a lot of slow motion fight between a Russian. It's pretty nice. Check it out. Thank you for watching. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe.